I assume all of you guys know how to find the average of a group of numbers. You add them up and then divide them by the amount of numbers in that group. And hopefully every single one of you guys can do that. But this is actually not what the SHSAT asks you all of the time. I have 7 statistics questions on the harder range of the SHSAT, which is talking about mean, median, mode, and range. And not one of them actually means find the average. Some of them, they give you the average and you work backwards, or the others, they change the set and then they ask what happens. Or they take 3 at a time and make you deduce stuff from it. So there's a lot of tips and tricks that goes into more than what you probably learned in school. So there are 4 main ways that they try and obscure the average part of the question. And by the end of the video, you'll be able to identify and solve each type. Alright, so this is how this video is going to go. First of all, when a question appears on screen, you should pause and try to do the question yourself. I know everyone also asks you to do this, but this is actually really important because it gets your mind moving so you don't take any shortcuts while you practice. And by the end, I'll also, at the end of each question, explain what are the common misconceptions or things students get wrong, and that corresponds with wrong answers. And we'll go over several wrong answers and why they're wrong, and then also review the correct one. Okay, so our first question is that we have 8 numbers and their mean is 15. And when we take one number out, the mean of the rest of them, which is 7 numbers, and the mean of them is 16. So what number did we remove? Now we have 5 choices, and make sure to pause this video and try and work it out yourself. So here's the move, and it's the same move for every other question like this on the SHSAT. So first, the thing you need to know is that you can't really do anything with a mean. You can do something with a total, so therefore you should turn every mean into a total by multiplying it by the count. So here we have 8 numbers and the mean is 15, so using that formula we get that the total is 120. And now we have 7 and then their mean is 16, so their total is now 112. So we have the difference in totals, and using this, it's not that hard to find the answer, which is that the total dropped by 8. So the answer left was 8. So the answer is B. Now, did you think the answer had to be a big number because the average went up? A lot of people do, but this is what actually happened. The average went up because you removed a number that was below the old average. So because 15 was the average and 8 is below that, taking it out actually drags the average up. So the smaller number leaving pulls the average up, and that's worth sitting with for a second. Okay, so this is question 2. We have 6 numbers, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. And now when we add a 7th number, the median is 8, and we want to find which one we added. Now pause it and try and choose the answer that you think is correct. So the trick here is to count first, and always count first. We know that 6 numbers become 7 numbers, and because 7 is odd, the median is the real value and it's not an average value, which means that we don't have to worry about all that averages stuff, and it's just going to be the 4th one when they're in order. So that means the 4th number literally just has to be 8 because it's going to be the 4th number in the list, and because there's no 8 in the list, that means we must have added 8 to the list, so you don't even have to test anything. So once you drop it in, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, the 4th one is 8, and we're done. So this is why this one gets people. Right now, 6 numbers, the median is already 8, because if you average 7 and 9, it becomes 8. So if you look at it and you think nothing changed and you guess, the thing about this is that 6 and 7 behave differently, because 6 is even and 7 is odd, so you have to use the median rules to your advantage. And this is the single difference that you must know before heading into the SHSAT. Alright, this is question number 3, and as you read this question, you might notice that there is actually no numbers to compute. This is a purely logical question that tests your critical thinking skills. So the question asks, a range of a set is 24, and once I add a number, the range is still 24. Which of these must be true? Now read these questions, read these answers, pause, and you should read must carefully because the word must is very important here. So take your time. All right, so the range is the simplest thing in statistics, and people constantly overthink it. So here, the range is always going to be equal to largest minus smallest. So if you look at the two numbers, the largest one and the smallest one, take the difference, then that's basically it. It's really not much difficult than that. So therefore, the only way to move it is actually to either beat the max or undercut the min. So your new number has to be either greater than the maximum number or lower than the minimum number. But here, the range didn't change. So the logical opposite of that means that it must have landed somewhere inside. So the answer is C, that it lies between the smallest and the largest. And the thing is that this is what it kills. Is it the mean? Range doesn't know what the mean is. The median or the even or the mode, it doesn't really care about any of those terms. The range is just simply the largest minus the smallest. So this trick will help save you a lot of time if you're not sure where to start. Okay, this is question 4. So we have 5 integers that have a mean of 18 and a median of 20, and which set works? So there are 2 conditions here. Both of them have to be true at the same time. So here are your choices, and feel free to pause it. So the first thing to save time is not to calculate the mean of everything. That's just going to waste you a lot of valuable seconds. And using the trick from question 1, we can just find the total. So here we know that the count is 5 and the mean is 18, so you multiply them together and you get the set has to total 90. So now let's just check the 5 answers and see what they sum up to. So we see that A, D, and E are still passing, and the other 2 are gone, so we can eliminate them. Now we look at the median. And here, because they're already in order and there are 5 numbers, the median is just the third number, and only D has the median, the middle number, or the third number, equal to 20. So that's your answer, and it's D. Notice that 3 of these 5 also had a median of 20. So if you checked the median first and stopped, you could have picked wrong. So when a question stacks 2 conditions at the same time, the answer is the one that survives both of them. And every other option is engineered to pass exactly one of the 2. So that's a test trick for you. Our 5th question is that we have an average age of the 20 students is 14. A teacher walks in and now the average is 15. Now how old is that teacher? Now pause it, and by the way, the answer is not 15, just so you know. Feel free to work it out. In case you didn't know already, this is another totals problem. So we have 20 students and we have the average of 14, so we have the total age is 280 years. Now we have 21 people and the average is 15. And now the new group, the total years is 315. So the thing is, you must watch that 21 because you must add another teacher in, and that's also a very common mistake that people mess up on. Now, the difference here is 35, so that is the age of the teacher, and that is just answer number C. So this is the part that's important to take away. Why is 35 so much bigger than 15? It's because the teacher has to join at a much larger than the average because there are already so many students in the classroom. So that means there has to be 20 extra years that have to come from somewhere, and those come from the teacher. So you get that 20 plus 15 is 35. So if you get that, you can do this question in your head next time. And you will definitely see this question again, either on the practice test or the real test. And it's one of the most common statistics-based questions on the SHSAT. This is question number 6. We have 2, 4, 4, 7, 7, 7, and 9. And when we add one number, the mode changes. Which number did I add? So feel free to pause it. The mode is the statistics one everyone thinks is really easy. So let's really see if you know how to solve this question. Right now, 7 shows up 3 times and 4 shows up twice. So the mode is 7 on its own. Now once we add another 7, the 7 appears 4 times. So did the mode change? No, because it's still 7. So that means making the winner win harder doesn't actually change who won, and that's D. And that's what most people pick is D. But the thing is, if you add a 2, a 5, or a 9, nothing gets to 3. So 7 is still standing alone. But, however, once you add a 4, now 4 also appears 3 times, and because 7 appears 3 times, the set has 2 modes, so it went from 1 mode to 2. Now that's a change, and the only one on the list. So the question answer is B. So here's the actual rule, and this rule is important, so you should probably write this down, is that you don't change the mode by adding another number that is already the mode. You have to change it by catching up to the number. And basically, when a set is allowed to have 2 modes, it's different from it having 1 mode, so the mode has changed. And a lot of people don't know this. This is a real difficult one for you. So this is the hardest question of the video, and there are also no answer choices, so treat this like a free response, just a brain exercise. That's actually pretty difficult to figure out. Now we have 5 numbers. Their mean is 18, their median is 20, and their range is 16, and the smallest one is 8. We want to find the largest. There are no answer choices, so take your time. Really take your time on this. It's a really hard question, and it's fine if it takes 2 minutes or more. So there are 4 conditions here, and the trick is you have to think about which condition you read first. So first, you write the slots out in order. We know that the median is 20, so that means the middle one, because there are 5 numbers, the third one is 20, so we already know that. The smallest number is 8, so then it goes 8 blank, 20 blank, and then the biggest. Now, this is the range. The range is the biggest minus the smallest. So the 16 equals the biggest minus 8. So that's how we solve for the largest number, because we already know the range and the smallest number. So therefore, the biggest number is 24. So that's it. You never really needed the 2 blanks, just 1 line. But the thing is, this is what separates a good student from a careful one. So let's make sure a set like this can actually exist. A mean of 18 means the total is 90, because 5 times 18 is 90. And then 8 plus 20 plus 24 is 52. So the blanks add up to 38. So there are tons of room. So we can just pick 16 and 22. So 16 and 22 works because 8, 16, 20, 22, and 24. Their mean is 18, their median is 20, their range is 16, and the smallest one is 8. So all four conditions are met, and it's actually real. So on the test, you wouldn't actually write that check out, but you should build that math intuition and feel whether it's possible, because sometimes these questions are actually impossible on purpose. So there you have it. These are 4 ways you can get quizzed on in statistics on the SHSAT. First, you got to work backward from an average. So they give you the mean and they hide a value, and every time the first thing you should do is write out the total. The second type of question is changing the set. If you add something and remove something, and you can ask what moved, and the trick is you have to think about what actually happened rather than just computing everything out. The third type is stacking conditions. So let's say we have a mean and a median and a range and a minimum. Only one option can survive everything. So this is a great way you can use the process of elimination. The fourth type of question is bait. And this is important to know because the wrong answers that you did today, none of those are actually random. These wrong answers are chosen on purpose. So you must be careful and make sure to double check your work to make sure it is logical and it flows as a potential solution. Somebody wrote down those trick questions or those bait answers because they anticipated students like you would fall for it. So make sure you're careful for that. Therefore, every time you get one wrong, you've just found out something specific about the way you approach these types of problems. And right now, because the test hasn't started yet, this is not a bad thing at all. It helps you target your practice towards what you need to learn. There's one last question for you before you go, and feel free to put your answer and thought process for this in the comments below. The mean of 6 numbers is 12. I add a 7th number and the mean becomes 13. What did I add? It's the same move as question 1, it's just the other direction. So I'll read through these and I'll open up the video with this answer. And for next time, I'll see you, and this is SHSAT.